Go for it.
My name's Breeze. This is the MMA Breeze show. So today we got the man, the myth, the legend, Bruce Buffer. How's everything hanging?
It's all good, man. It's busy. Had a nice 3-day weekend. Enjoyed Memorial Day. Relaxed. Went away for a little bit, and so much needed 3 days of R&R. Trust me.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, good for you. Glad to hear it. And I know you're a busy guy, man. Very busy. So I won't waste too much of your time. I'll jump right in. You
That's
know,
okay. Go for it.
Awesome. I had to ask, obviously there's a big story about you and your brother. I have two brothers. You have two brothers, I believe, if I'm not
Right.
mistaken. And so, it seems like you guys, although you didn't grow up together, you still have the same passions and you seem to have a very good relationship at this point. How close are you and Michael at this point in your life?
Oh, very close. I mean, we love each other like brothers, full brothers. We've been managing his career for almost 30 years and working together and going through all the experiences that we've had together. And, um, it's a mutual appreciation, mutual support, and all good. I mean, just like we grew up together.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys see each other a good bit throughout the year. I know you're both
Not
busy.
really. No, that's something that doesn't happen. I mean, we're lucky to see each other maybe 2 or 3 times a year.
Okay.
We talk every week, multiple times a week, but he's traveling, I'm traveling, and that's the life of a road warrior. It's
Absolutely.
sacrifices when it comes to family and friends for sure.
Absolutely. And the story about you guys is obviously such a crazy one. Your father went and had lunch with him and figured out you guys were half brothers. Was it what brought your father to Michael, and how did he get that in on his radar? Was it the TV? Was it a friend? Was it you?
It was a combination of TV and my brother Brian and I because when we were watching boxing, which we would watch all the time, every week there was the greatest boxers in the world boxing back in the late 80s, early 90s. It was the huge era of boxing the way the UFC is today. And Michael came on the scene with his debonair looks and James Bond, appeal and the voice and the phrase and everything. And then they would flash on the screen, Michael Buffer. And I'm like, wait a minute, who's this? Because I own telemarketing companies in my 20s and 30s, and I've seen every phone book in the United States before the internet came around. And a natural thing that people would do is open up a phone book and look for their last name, and see what's happening. So never saw my name in any phone book. And obviously my guts started going crazy. What's going on here? And I started searching out myself and found out that he grew up in New Jersey, near where we grew up in Philadelphia. And there were just some similarities that were happening. And then when people would stop me and say, hey, is this your brother, the guy that goes, let's get ready to rumble? I'm like, no, my brother's Brian. I don't know who you're talking about. And one night I told dad, Brian and I were watching the fights with him, and Michael was in a small venue in the valley near us in Malibu where we lived. And we just got dad to call him and leave a message. Michael called back. They got together for lunch and everything started there. And that's how it all created.
Way cool, man. Way cool. It's such a crazy story, and thank you for sharing a little bit more with us.
No problem.
Speaking of, the martial arts family that you have, the background, you guys were all boxing fans, your brothers, both your brothers, your dad, you. At this point in your life, I know you've done a lot of different mixed martial arts. I know
Mhm.
you've accomplished a lot of different things. What is your favorite or over your life, what has been your favorite to practice as far as actually doing it goes? And what's your favorite to just watch? Is it as far as disciplines go? Are you really appreciative of the grappling as well as the stand up, or are you just you think that there's nothing more beautiful than some quality stand up?
Well, it's kind of all the above. I'm all into all the all the arts, everything that works. I appreciate all of them. I appreciate jujitsu highly. My favorite, growing up and training the way I did was kickboxing. Because I got it. I got a second degree black belt. I have a second degree black belt in Tang Soo Do. I've got a black belt in a style called Jiu-Jitsu Do, which is not a Jiu-Jitsu black belt, even though it's a, French special forces Sabat style, hybrid Jiu-Jitsu style.
Hmm.
And the sensei that I was working with would bring me in to work with his black belts and teach him striking. So after about 6 or 8 months of sparring and working with these, Jiu-Jitsu black belts, he awarded me a black belt in the art of Jiu-Jitsu Do. But I don't consider myself a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. It was an honorary black belt. I was very happy to receive it. But I'm more of a striker than anything else. Every street fight I've ever had has gone to the ground. You have to have some ground ability, no question.
Yeah.
But I know how to bite and I know how to do what it takes to make things work. And basically that's it. But I've always been a lover of striking, most definitely. It's the
Sounds
most
like.
exciting to watch, and everything else. But there's nothing more fascinating than, going in for a submission in jiu-jitsu or wrestling or whatever and accomplishing it and taking out a very qualified opponent. I mean, you got to appreciate all forms of fighting, which I do.
Absolutely, and hence why you're such a prominent figure in mixed martial arts, you know?
Well, I
So
guess if you say so. My mom thinks so. I guess it's true. I don't know.
I'd say so. I'd say so. Yeah. As far as your history with the UFC goes, though, I ran into a couple different funny stories of you appearing on the set of Friends, and then it
Mhm.
was kind of from there is when you got to shoot your shot with former owner Rob Meyer and say, hey, let me be the full time guy here. Is that the truth?
Yeah, it's
Kind of how
totally
to
the
play
truth
that?
because I was working for that position for a year and a half after I had my brother announce 3 fights or 3 events, and then I had to pull him because of our relationship with WCW wrestling. Would have been hard for Michael to keep going with the UFC the way they were growing, but I got into Baimon, Puerto Rico, uh, what was it, in February 16th, 1996, which was my first UFC. And I did the prelims, but I managed a fighter into that event, which is how I got the job. I
Mm.
convinced the owner, Robert Meyer, to let me do the prelims during that weekend. And then they called me back to do UFC 10, which I did the full show. And then they hired somebody else, and I'm still working to get the job and telling them they need me because I have the media contacts. I can help them build this brand more than just being an announcer. I'd be so much more than an announcer, which I've been, not asking for any money for all the stuff. I've done nothing, just doing everything I can to promote and build the UFC because I actually had better media contacts than they had back then.
Mhm.
So with that being said, when I was on the set of Friends and they asked me to co-star, on the biggest comedy on TV as myself, it gave me a lot of power and fodder to go to the owner and say, look, I'm co-starring as myself. I feel like a girl waiting to be asked to the prom and I'm not getting asked. So I'm going to ask you one time. They'll never ask again. Let's make a deal. Right. It's the best poker hand I ever played in my life. And from that point forward, I announced all the events.
And you are a big poker player, so that's not a weightless sentence right there.
No,
So
not a wasted sentence by any standards whatsoever.
yeah, right on. Well, that's fascinating. And being on TV, that wasn't your only go at it. I mean, you had a lot of features in Entourage, Hot Tub Time Machine, and Taj Point oh. I mean, is there a passion there for acting? Are we going to see a little bit more of you in Hollywood?
Maybe so. There's something going on right now, but I can't talk about it. But I wanted to be an actor as a kid, and I studied acting in the Dallas Theater of Arts. I studied here in LA, and then when I owned telemarketing companies, I had a lot of actors, working to become actors, working actors, working for me, and going through the rejection and the trial and the error and the pounding the pavement. And I was making really good money right out of the gate at 18, so I just focused on business
Hmm.
and went there. So now with where I'm at in my life now and being able to do the things like you mentioned, I'm fulfilling bucket list dreams. So it's all good. So I'm in a filling bucket list. Like I just came out with my bourbon Puncher's Chance, highest rated, newest selling bourbon in America and selling like hotcakes. I'm very proud of that and worked
Let's
very long
go.
on that. And I've got a whole line of energy products coming out and my cologne and toiletries coming out in the next 4 months. You'll see all that stuff all over the world. So I'm concentrating on other things right now. But honestly, if I got a chance to act or be in a film, no problem. I just turned down one because now it's if I'm going to do it, I want to do a good one,
Yeah,
not just anything. A lot of people just want to get behind the camera and say, I'm making a movie. I'm
yeah.
past that point in my life. It's got to be the right thing to do.
So you would never play an extra as like a zombie in The Walking Dead.
And I have no interest. Nope. None.
Yeah, no, I think you're a little bit above that. But yeah, as far as
Nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. Just
no, no.
I
You
got I
got
got more I got more things to do during the day than sit around and do 8 hours going. "Nah."
yeah. And speaking of doing things throughout the day, like I said from the beginning, you're a busy guy, and I wasn't joking. You have a lot of stuff going on right now. You have your new business where people are paying you to announce, newborns, weddings. I guess it's not that new in the sense of you probably already had some things like this going on way back then, but it's
Yeah.
now it's really thriving. You got people asking you for funerals. What do you take of all these requests, and what's your most like favorite thing to be a part of?
We get requests for my partner Kristen and I. We get requests for weddings and birth of babies and championship introductions, which we have a special at my website brucebuffer.com. You can just fill out a form, pay what is a small fee considered to what people want to pay me, but I'm trying to make it affordable to everybody, either an audio or a video. I really get a big kick out of the birth of babies. Weddings is always fun. The thank you notes we get for people's weddings bring tears to our eyes at times. It's just such a beautiful thing. And
Okay.
the weirdest ones, you do a eulogy for somebody who hasn't even died yet, so they have it in the can for when they do die. It's a little weird, or introducing Jesus Christ against the devil, for a church in Ohio or something like that. I get a lot of different requests. It's very funny.
It sounds like it. It sounds like, and your brother's into it too, right? He's got his own
He
product, I
does
guess.
not as much as me, but he's on Cameo. Like I'm on Cameo. I do a ton of cameos every day, and so you can go to Cameo or go to my site brucebuffer.com. But for Michael, yeah, go to Cameo. Get the great Michael Buffer do a cameo for you. Absolutely.
Right on. Right on. Well, that's really cool. I might have to take you up on that as I approach some
There you go.
milestones in my life. But I mean, as far as fighting goes, bringing it back to the sport, you've been doing it for a long time. You've met a lot of different people. I'm sure you've even been asked this question before, but I imagine it changes over time. At this point, with all the fighters that you've worked with, who is, some of your favorite guys to announce and just be around come fight day?
There's so many because over the last 25 years, I've made so many great friendships and relationships. George St. Pierre is always a pleasure. We're, friends. And then when he's in the octagon, to watch him do his thing. And I'm always an equal opportunity announcer, Chuck Liddell, um, John Jones, Israel, always fun to announce. And then you got people that really get into it with me, like Michael Chiesa and, whether it's Cody Garbrandt or Dillashaw, I go on and on and on. It's an honor to announce them all.
Mhm.
It's not anyone in particular. And these men and women are putting their blood, sweat, and tears and lives on the line. It's my job to enhance that moment for them as best I can. Because like I always say, the show's not about me; it's about them, and it's about the fans watching, and just trying to give as much as I can back.
Absolutely, and thank you
Yeah,
for your part in that.
thank you.
As far as the next big fight coming up goes, we have a lot of great fights, and I'm sure you've been around these guys a lot too. Like you said, Israel Adesanya is going to be fighting Marvin for the title, Marvin Vettori, and then you have another title tight with Fig and Moreno. How do you see those two playing out?
It's always with me. May the best man win. That's the way it's got to be. So, um, again, equal opportunity. Brandon Moreno's got a big fight. You got the June 12th event with Israel and Nate Diaz, and that card's just stacked. So it's a matter of just enjoying the night. I'm a fan first and announcer second, but once I step in the octagon, it's time to do my job.
It's business. It's business.
Yeah.
So that's something else I wanted to ask. How many UFC events do you think you miss a year, or you catch every single one?
I used to catch every single one, then it got to be too many because I couldn't be everywhere. And it's a little trying on the body getting out there and I got other things to do too. But I always did every show. I always made it a point to be at every show, even if it meant sacrificing a lot to get there. But maybe 6 or 7 events a year.
Okay.
They have a backup announcer named Joe Martinez who does a very fine job. And Perfect comes in, represents the brand well. And that's all I ask. Whoever's going to be there aside from me, that they represent the brand well and do a good job. But I'm probably on an average, I do 33, 34 shows a year,
Okay. Good deal.
not counting my other appearances. So it's a lot of road work.
Absolutely, it sounds like it. And you've inspired like a whole new wave of youngsters who are coming in, and obviously, when 20 years ago, there was a lot of people that wanted to be a fighter, but there weren't a whole lot of people that wanted to be a commentator. And now it seems to be a popular path, a competitive
Huh.
path. People are getting out at these events, and they're trying to emulate you, put on suits, and stand out with mustaches, and however they can to kind of
Yeah.
fill that space. What do you take about that in this next wave and your role in inspiring that?
If I've inspired them, I know that everybody was inspired or emulated my great brother Michael Buffer, the way he announced, thinking that you had to have a catchphrase and copying him. And I see people just emulating a little bit too much, and they do that with me now too. It's like, okay, I appreciate all that. It's all good, and everybody has a right to go after what they want to go after, and imitation is the height of flattery. But the instructions I give to announcers is sure, learn from the other announcers, as even I did. But I told myself in the first 2 or 3 years, if I don't develop my own style, I'm going to quit. I'm
Mhm.
not in this for a seat and a paycheck. I'm in this to make a mark, and to do what I
Absolutely.
wanted to do. And if anybody could have copied somebody, it would have been me. Copying my great brother Michael Buffer. And
Mhm.
I did not want to be Frank Sinatra Jr. I had no interest in being that way. I had to do it the way I wanted to do it, with passion and the way I move, and I never know what I'm going to do till I do it. So if other people are emulating, that's very cool. But if they're listening or watching, or the advice I give is create your own style. I didn't even want a catchphrase when I started. It wasn't how what I said, it's how I say it, is the way I looked at it. And its time just took off organically and naturally, which is the way you want things to take off to be successful. But there's guys out there, it's go time, it's fight time, it's this time, it's that time. Get another time, you know?
Yeah, I do. I hear you. It sounds it definitely was your thing, and
It's
if
okay.
you're
They can, I'm sorry to interrupt you. They can do what
no.
they do. I mean, I've got a trademark the way I have a trademark, but I'm just saying if you want to be recognized for being original and your own
Mhm,
style. And that's where you're gonna stand out. But I saw
absolutely.
one guy recently, good voice. Actually, I think he has talent, but emulating my brother so much, emulating me so much. And when it came at the end, it's like, it's go time. And he lifted his foot up and it's like, go, and then put it down. I thought he said it's gout time. I didn't know what he was saying. It looked, it just didn't look good.
Hey, and that's coming from the the man of the craft. So,
Well, I
you
mean
know,
that with all respect. Trust me,
yeah,
all
and
respect. He's trying to find a way.
everything you're saying right now, I think comes from a good place. Like you're
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to help people and give everybody some real insight of how you made your mark and how to stand out. So
I always
that
try to help people. I always do.
absolutely. And thank you for that too, because it's good advice. It's quality advice. Everybody wants to do something big, and there's people they look up to, but they do need to know, that it's about standing out. Nobody wants the next, like you said, the next Frank Sinatra Jr. We want something new.
Exactly.
And even
Exactly.
when watching Simon Cowell when American Idol was hot, he always said the same thing. He's like, I don't want to see you come in and kill a Whitney Houston song. I want to see you do it different. So it's
Right.
like it's the same concept, and I think everything you're saying is on the money. It comes from a good place. So thank you for that. But lastly, I just wanted to ask you. I'll let you go because you're a busy guy. But thank you for the
That's
time.
okay.
But as far as your next project goes, you said we might see you on screen. I know you can't talk about the details. Can you give us a date on when to expect something, further news, a drop, or anything like that?
Well, I always get approached for like a little something here in TV or film from time to time. This is just another project I really can't talk about because I'm not one to talk about things until they're completed. Um, but it's a special, passionate project that's working, and it's definitely a year or more away.
Okay.
We'll just have to leave it at that. Yeah,
But you said there's some passion behind it.
there's passion behind everything I do, my friend. Everything
Love
I
it.
do. If I can't passionately approach something, then I shouldn't be doing it. I'm at a point now in my life, and I have been for many, many years, that I live life by design. I wake up and I don't go to work, but I live a lifestyle, which is work, a lot of work, but it's what I want to do. It's passionate. It's surrounding my brand, my IP, and everything else. Like I just came out with as a co-founder in a company that's doing gangbusters out of the gate called millions.co,
I saw.
where, yeah, we teach, if you're a professional fighter, you can go to millions.co. We'll help you brand yourself, help you market yourself to your followers on social media, monetize where you should be monetizing yourself. We create merchandise, hats, hoodies, t-shirts, no cost to the professional fighter. We put it up for sale. We're an average deal like that might make you 10% of whatever sells. We give a lion's share of 70, 80% of profits back to the fighters. So
Wow.
I've always wanted the fighters, whether you're Muay Thai, MMA, kickboxing, boxer, you don't have to be a star to be able to have merchandise. If you have followers, whether it's 2,000, 20,000, or 200,000, by most standards, that's not enough to start marketing yourself to, but you should be. And I want to give the benefit of many years of experience my co-founders and I have, and what it takes to brand and market yourself and to make some money, not just on fight night, but make money while you're building your career. And so check it out. It's not com, millions.co, co.
Millions.co. I'm gonna drop that link in the bio underneath this, and everybody check it out. I know I got a lot of fighters that follow me and that are friends with me, so thank you
There
for
you go.
sharing that as well. Yeah,
It'd be a home
so
to any professional fighter. Trust me.
awesome. I'm gonna bring it to. I'm down here in North Carolina. By I practice at Gym O. Chris Weidman's been in there. He did his
Oh,
last
cool.
fight camp there, and so we got some Bellator bare knuckle fighting people. So I'll definitely we'll bring it to the table. I'll point it
Yeah,
out. Like I said, we'll have it in the bio. There's a lot of prospects there, so I think it would be a very mutual beneficial thing. So
I appreciate it.
thank
I
you.
think they'll really enjoy it. Definitely.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Bruce. Hopefully, we can do it again soon. And I'm
Well,
looking
thank you.
forward to the passion projects around the corner.
I appreciate it. No, thank you very much. And you're quite a gentleman. I appreciate it. I appreciate the interview very much.